Madison Evans had always been the quiet one. In a class full of loud personalities, sports stars, and attention-seeking influencers, she was the ghost that walked among them. Sitting in the back row, eyes always focused on her notes, she never spoke unless called upon. Some people assumed she was shy. Others thought she was afraid. But what none of them knew was, Madison was trained. Not just in self-defense, but in restraint. Her father had been a retired Marine-turned-martial arts instructor, and her upbringing had been strict, focused, and deeply disciplined. She didn't fight because she didn't need to. Until the day everything changed. It was the second week of junior year at Brookdale High, and already the usual suspects had started their nonsense. Madison had caught the eye of Tiffany Hart, the queen bee with a venomous streak and an entourage of mindless drones. To Tiffany, Madison's silence was offensive. Her refusal to conform, to entertain drama or social cliques, was an act of rebellion. And people like Tiffany didn't like rebellion. Who even wears a shirt like that anymore? Tiffany sneered one morning as Madison walked into homeroom. The shirt was simple, white, long-sleeved. Modest. Clean. Madison didn't respond. She sat down quietly, eyes on her textbook. Must have got it from the thrift store, one of Tiffany's friends laughed, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Again, no reaction. But that only made them angrier. Day by day, the teasing escalated. Books were knocked out of her hands. Gum found its way into her locker. Someone even poured orange juice into her backpack one afternoon in the cafeteria. And through it all, Madison said nothing. Not because she was weak, but because she believed silence was stronger than stooping to their level. Then came Monday. Rain lashed at the windows as the class settled into second period, history with Mr. Deacon. Madison was already seated. She wore that same white shirt again, pressed and tucked into her jeans. Her blonde hair was tied in a low ponytail, her skin pale against the dull gray light from outside. Her presence was calm. Too calm for Tiffany, who strutted in, chewing gum like it owed her money. Behind her, two boys, Jason and Ty, nudged each other with suppressed giggles. And then it happened. Tiffany leaned over Madison's desk and whispered, "You think you're better than us? Sitting there like some holier-than-thou nun. Let me help you loosen up." Before Madison could move, Tiffany grabbed the collar of her shirt and ripped. The sound was sharp, vicious, echoing in the stunned silence of the room. The white fabric tore straight down the center, exposing her undershirt and her frozen, stunned expression. For 3 seconds, no one breathed. Then, laughter. Jason burst out laughing, followed by Ty. Even a few girls snickered. Mr. Deacon, caught off guard, fumbled with his glasses. "Hey, what the, Tiffany," he barked, finally moving. But it was too late. Madison stood up slowly. Her face remained unreadable. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply stood. And then, in a moment that would be talked about for years, she did something no one expected. With a sharp inhale and clenched jaw, Madison turned to the desk beside her. And kicked it. Not a weak shove. Not an angry nudge. A full-on, spinning, roundhouse kick. The metal desk flew sideways, crashing to the ground with a loud, bone-shaking clang. The class went silent. Completely, terrifyingly silent. Even Tiffany's smirk vanished. Madison looked straight at her. "I've had enough." Every student in that room froze. This wasn't the quiet girl they mocked. This was someone entirely different. Mr. Deacon stood speechless. "Madison, sit down, please." She didn't. Instead, she picked up her backpack, turned, and walked out of the room with her head held high, her torn shirt still fluttering as she disappeared into the hallway. That moment went viral before lunchtime. Someone had caught the whole thing on their phone, the rip, the silence, the kick. By fifth period, it was all over Brookdale High's social media under the hashtag Madison kicked it. But the school administration wasn't impressed. Madison was called to the principal's office, and Tiffany sat smugly beside her, acting like the victim. "She assaulted school property," Tiffany whined. "I was just trying to be friendly." Madison didn't argue. She simply looked Principal Harris in the eye and said, "Check the cameras." And they did. The footage didn't lie. Tiffany's smirk faded even further as the playback showed her deliberately tearing Madison's shirt. By the end of the meeting, Tiffany had detention for 2 weeks, and her parents were called. But what shook everyone more was what came next. As Madison walked out of the office, she passed the hallway where Jason and Ty were joking about her again. Didn't know Quiet Girl was a ninja. Jason mocked, pretending to fall over. Madison didn't break stride. She simply said, "Say it again. I dare you." Her voice was low, even. Ty froze. Jason blinked. "What?" Madison stepped closer. "You heard me." Neither of them laughed after that. But the storm wasn't over. That night, Tiffany posted a story calling Madison a psychopath and hinted that she should be expelled. She rallied others, trying to push a new narrative that Madison was dangerous, unpredictable. But something strange happened. People began siding with Madison. Messages poured in. "I saw what they did to you. You didn't deserve it. You handled it like a boss. Respect, girl." That kick was legendary. For the first time, Madison's silence had a voice, and it was speaking volumes. By the next morning, something in the school's atmosphere had shifted. Students whispered in awe when she walked through the hall. Some moved aside, not out of fear, but out of respect. Tiffany, once the untouchable queen, was now being questioned. And Madison? She had just started to find her fire. But little did she know, the bullies weren't done yet. They were planning something bigger. And this time, they would regret it more than ever.